I thought good guys get to be happy. I'm not happy. I am poison in the water and unhappy. I need some cigarettes for this fucking shit right here. Let me just lock in, get myself a fresh ciggy. So today is, well, when this video is going up, is January 7th. Tonight is the release date of the new Ethel Cain EP. It's not an album, but it's like an hour and 20 minutes. Speaking of EPs, I just dropped an EP yesterday, which is under the Sid Trigger name, so go check it out. Anyway, so a while ago, I listened to Preacher's Daughter, and I thought it was very good. Fun story about that. As I was editing the video for it, I was in the library at my college, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna get out of my dorm, go to the library, get some work done. I start editing the video and I heard like people behind me, and I like look back, there's just like two people there, right? Over like a time period, I was starting to get this eerie feeling that someone was looking at me. So I did one of these. I like saw someone like look over at me. They turned their head, and you know when you look at someone, you don't want them to know that you looked at them. So yeah, I turned my head back, but I like saw a glimpse of their eyes just like looking at me like this. So like imagine there's a wall here. It was like this. 40 minutes later, I get a text from a girl I had a situationship with who's fucking insane. And she said, "Hey, I think I see you." And then it kind of clicked in my head. That's why she was staring at me. So what I did, I edited it, I uploaded it, I did not public the video, walked out. But that's not why we're here today. We're here to talk about the story of Preacher's Daughter. Now, somebody sent me a doc of the story of Preacher's Daughter, but I feel like that would be kind of boring to show on a video, right? It's just me reading a document. Shout out to this person for sending me the doc, so I'll give her props. I guess you could ask her. She put it in her like channel links. If it's not there anymore, then you can just ask her, I guess. I feel like reading that is boring. Watching me talk about that is boring. So we have this white woman named Hannah McKinney who did an hour-long video on it. Here's what I think the story is about, because I was told that I am completely fucking wrong. So I think it's about this girl, and her father is a preacher, hence the title Preacher's Daughter. She ends up killing this motherfucker because of old trauma, past childhood trauma, feels like that's the only way she could escape. She kills that motherfucker and then walks south. Then this guy who's trying to go see the Pacific Ocean and her meet up, right? She falls in love with the fact that he can take her away. He falls in love with the fact that he can abuse her. And they get to the west, and then I think she kills him and then is like feeling remorse because of her Christian past. It's a very interesting album. I think it's very good sonically. I really liked it. We're gonna find out what it's genuinely about and see how wrong I was, because one of the comments, bro, you were so off on the story. LOL. Gotta lock in on it and know. I don't know if this is true, but is it like a continuous story? Is Perverts its own story, or is it a continuation of Ethel Cain? I have no idea, but we're gonna find out. Hello, white woman.
Hey, sweaties.
Brother Voss?
Wow, you get to see my kitchen now. It's probably very dirty.
Nah, your kitchen looks very nice, though. What the fuck is
We're gonna talk about the life and death of one Ethel Cain, the album Preacher's Daughter by Ethel Cain.
Oh, let me take some notes, actually. Alright, check it. We got this book. I'm gonna take some notes.
Since it came out, I believe it came out in February of this year, 2024.
What did she just say? It came out in February 2024? Dude, should I trust her on this? This shit came out in 2022. If she can't do that research? Was? I'm not watching this video. I'm sorry. Obviously, probably the story will be right. However, how the f are you gonna tell me the story and get a major fact wrong this early in the beginning of the video? No hate to Hannah McKinney. Preacher's Daughter explained. Oh, this girl's fine as hell. Maybe we okay. Someone said that this is an excellent analysis, and I like her hair a lot.
Gigantic thank you to Hayden. Love you forever.
Dude, that's literally Ethel Cain.
Can't wait to see you here in New York in June.
Okay, wait, hold on. This girl has a good resume. She met Ethel Cain and sort of knows Ethel Cain. Ethel Cain posted her and said, "Shout out bestie." We could trust this lady with the nice hair.
Gorgeous 76-minute concept album about a woman who was raised in the Southern tradition and is eventually kidnapped and murdered and eaten. So Ethel Cain.
What? The Voss? Brother Voss? That's what it's about? I had so much hope that she was just going to the West with the guy, and then the guy was well, I don't hope that the guy was a bad guy. That's what it's about. Are you fucking serious?
Essentially, it's a story told from beyond the grave about her religious trauma, her love affairs, her father, who is the titular preacher and like an established member of the community, and also her eventual kidnapping and murder. A very visceral instrumental track named after an infamous snuff film. Like, if that gives you any indication of...
Let's go track by track. Because, okay, how the fuck? Dude, I got that so wrong. Let's do track by track review so we can get the full story.
We start off strong with track number 1, Family Tree Intro. So this song really does a good job of setting the scene for this story, in which she talks about religious trauma. She talks about being the daughter of a preacher, as the title implies. Love talks about intergenerational trauma. And she foreshadows all of these things using some very clever lyricism.
Wait, what?
I think the standout.
How does she do that?
Track, specifically, Jesus was famously born to Mother Mary, who was a virgin when she had him, meaning that he does not have any of his father's genetics and can kind of shun that part of his life, but cannot escape the genetics of his mother.
Damn, really, what the fuck? I never thought about that. I think it's because I'm Jewish.
Down the line of women in a family, meaning that, you know, these cycles of trauma and abuse will carry on and she cannot escape that.
Damn, what the fuck? Is she a fucking genius?
This also kind of foreshadows her death, and kind of spotlights how the circumstances in which she was raised potentially were factors leading up to that death. Anyways, this album is super fucking dark, and this is the first track, so stay tuned for the second track, which is American Teenager.
That song's heat. God damn, bro, what the fuck? This is much deeper than I... Oh my god, I could just imagine people watching this that have such a passion for the record. I'm like, oh yeah, she's going to the West with this guy.
Now, this song is one of my favorites on the entire album. It has been compared to almost like a Taylor Swift type vibe. The rest of the album sounds nothing like this, and this is maybe the most...
I got that right, though.
What the song is trying to say lyrically, which is sort of painting what the American dream is promising American teenagers, sort of growing up, being told that you can be anything and do anything, and how that kind of rhetoric fails kids. What they don't tell you is that you need your neighbor more than your country needs you. I wrote this song as an expression of my frustration with all the things the American teenager is supposed to be but never had any real chance of becoming. She also expresses disillusionment with God and Jesus and the church from a young age. At this point in the story, her father has already died and she's showing up to church drunk, and she says, Jesus, if you're listening, let me handle my liquor, and
okay.
Jesus, if you're there, why do I feel alone in this room with you?
Her father is dead, so her father wasn't killed by her.
Also, lyrical honorable mention to when Ethel says, I do it for my daddy and I do it for Dale. This is in reference to Dale Earnhardt.
Is Dale?
She's like hoping to graduate high school, hoping to rediscover her faith in a system that has been taught to her since birth. We're gonna see what happens. For track 3, House in Nebraska.
Alright, this one kind of confuses me on the lore, so we gotta lock in on this one.
The song is a doozy.
Oh, really?
Slow. It really contrasts from the previous song, American Teenager, which is very pop, very glittery, and a lot more mainstream. This song kind of moves at its own pace and is just very reflective. Lyrically, this track finds Ethel reminiscing about an ex-lover who left town way before the events of this album, and kind of reminiscing on the good times that they had, and also visiting an abandoned house in Nebraska that they used to spend time in, pretending that it was their own. Mastermind Ethel, given the events of the previous song, American Teenager, in which she expresses feeling disillusioned in her town, feeling alone, feeling unheard, and feeling doubtful of the whole American dream. This was someone who she really depended on and really felt seen by, and now he is gone, and it's just, you feel this, the expanse of the South versus the expanse of her heart. But we all know the intensity of teenage love and the purity of it. We as listeners don't know the reason why Ethel and this ex-boyfriend broke up, but we do know that she says, and it hurts to miss you, but it's worse to know that I'm the reason you won't come home. It's painful. The song is referenced again at the end of the album and really provides like a stark contrast when you get to, you know, the darker parts of her story. And it does not get much better.
Oh no, the fucking millennial zoom. Oh me.
An ideal of love that she experienced early on in her life that she's going to compare all of her future loves to, and maybe try to attain, and maybe try to do dangerous things.
Okay, this is interesting too with Western Nights, because if she mentions comparing all of her loves to this love, this I'm kind of interested how this fits in the lore.
Now this track, Western Nights, finds Ethel sort of out on her own, finding a new love in this man, Logan Phelps. He is not very kind.
Michael
he
Phelps.
is at times violent, but she finds herself in love with him despite these faults. Kind of see her taking this romanticized vision of love that she saw in House in Nebraska into this relationship, and sort of seeing it with rose-colored glasses, even though the tumultuous, potentially abusive situation. Show me how much I mean to you while I'm lying in these sheets undressed. So she's kind of being pulled into this darker world for the first time and wondering if this is love or
I see. She has that innocent view of love. Finds this guy. She's like, oh, this guy's hot. I want to marry this guy. And then all of a sudden, he's being abusive. But she has this romanticized view of love. Oh, and that makes sense for when she mentions in Hard Times, where she's like talking about her fucking dad abusing her sexually, which is what the it's clicking a little bit now.
She does say, please don't love how I need you, and know that one day you and I could be okay. Kind of understanding a little bit that he could be taking advantage of her devotion to him.
No, Ethel, you gotta get the out of there. What the damn, bro, what the Okay, so Family Tree intro, which there's a song called Family Tree on this, right? It's like the spark notes of this story. It starts with American teenager, where she's going through this teenage belief of, oh, everything's made for you. And you go to a house in Nebraska, which I'm assuming takes place maybe during high school, like a teenage love type thing, like first love in high school. And then maybe she graduated high school in Western Nights. And then Western Nights, she still has this romanticized, powerful. That makes sense because she used to, in the song A House in Nebraska, she like talked to her mom. I feel like that was a line. Your mama calls me sometimes to see if I'm doing well, and I lie to her and say that I'm doing fine. Yes, insane amount of devotion towards this person, and now it's all gone. She wants to feel that again, so she goes to Logan Phelps, Michael Phelps' adopted brother.
Justifying it all by being like, this is what love is, and this is what I need to do to escape from the really restrictive town and sort of community that I was raised in. A doozy, so please stick around.
Was? Okay, that makes sense for the lore. So that's kind of like what I said, where she fell in love with the idea of him taking her away, but she's doing it through straight up devotion from an innocent eye. When someone like moves to another city, they're dating someone, it's like, you could come with me or not, and it's like, are you devoted to your own life or are you devoted to this person? So you have to like make the choice. And she made the wrong choice.
And in track 5, Family Tree,
oh yeah, and
Ethel
he's a
finds
dangerous
herself on the
man.
run from the police after the death of her boyfriend Logan in a police shootout. And for those of you
what? Okay, so so he got into a shootout with the police, and now Logan's dead.
These crosses all over my body remind me of who I used to be. And these lines are really powerful, both encapsulating what she's going through as a whole in this story, sort of like the impact that religion and her upbringing has had on her life and her eventual death. And also, at this point in the story, she's literally trying to sort of shed this person that she was in this relationship, running away literally from the police, but also sort of running away from what she's now realizing was a kind of love and relationship that was incredibly toxic and abusive. This is her journey of trying to find a love that will support her in the ways that she was sold when she was a child. Especially
I see.
Her role as a woman. That's sort of, you're supposed to be taken care of and you're supposed to be sort of rewarded for your subservience. And she has been to hell and back, as she says in the lyrics, and has not received anywhere near the kind of love and care that she's been promised. On the other side, coming out
That's very interesting too, especially with the themes of Americana, regarding the promise of the American dream and the promise of having a nice love and not having that, the stress that she might feel that she's not enough for that.
Alright, I'm running out of time, but I'll see you in the next one, Hard Times.
Alright, Hard Times is one of my favorite songs on the record. I think it's very powerful.
This song kind of unofficially closes Act 1 of the album before she ends up meeting the man who will eventually end her life.
Was? There's a fucking second brother? Damn, what the I thought that was the same guy. Well, okay, no, so now that Logan is dead in a police shootout, we're gonna find out how this fits in it, maybe?
It finds Ethel reflecting on the SA that she endured from her father as a child and her conflicted feelings in regards to him, who was also the town preacher and thus was a very esteemed member of the community and someone that she and the entire town had looked up to. Tell me a story about how it ends where you're still the good guy. I'll make pretend, because I hate this story where happiness ends and dies with you. So having to grapple with the fact that that person could also enact such horrible harm to you is something that she's really trying to process in this song. I thought good guys get to be happy. I'm not happy. I'm poison in the water. That is a top tier.
That bar is crazy.
She idolized that she prayed that she'd be like him when she grew up, and she still kind of does, because there were things about him that she wanted to exemplify in her life.
Okay.
And that
she experiences this horrible SA as a child, but her father is loved by everybody. So she feels that she needs to have some love in her life, as we've heard with the previous songs. There's this promise of love, promise of greatness in your own self, but she's not feeling it. So she looks at her father as sort of like the guy to be the greatness, but then she also knows, because she remembers the horrible, disgusting act that happened to her. God motherfucking damn! Rest in peace, Logan Phelps!
The refrain of "I'm tired of you, still tied to me, too tired to move, too tired to leave."
See, that bar right there is why I thought she killed the father. If she cut that tie, right, by ending his life, then she can move on by herself and have this, like, closure, I guess.
Anyway, I'll see you in the next one, track 7, Thoroughfare.
Okay, so that was, like, what I presumed it would be. It's kind of like a flashback, more of a reminiscent flashback. Not like a good reminiscent, but like a reminiscent of, you know what I mean. Thoroughfare. Alright, this one I'm interested in.
Is sort of like a rambly American.
Dude, her face matches her hair.
So in this song, Ethel, having run away from home, meets the charming Isaiah, who offers to drive her across the country because he has a truck.
See, this is why I thought it was the same guy as Logan, because in Western Nights, okay, so Western Nights, Logan is the guy, but then Logan dies in a police shootout. Now it's this new guy. Now you got this guy, Isaiah. Let's find out more about him, even though I know basically a little about him.
And that's reflected in some of the lyrics. She's literally standing on the side of the road with a pistol in her pocket when Isaiah comes. I remember that line. You can kind of still see some of these tendencies to feel like her role is to take care of a man. For instance, in the chorus, she said, "I said, honey, love's never meant much to me, but I'll come with you if you're sure it's what you need." That's
very paradoxical of what we've been hearing, but I'm kind of getting it. I don't know how to like say it, but it's like clicking in my head.
Even though she has been used and at times abused by men over and over again in her life, Isaiah really does appear to be someone who is different and a lot more sensitive and caring and just kind of
okay, that makes more sense, because I was like, okay, this guy, right? However, she loves the idea of love, and she's experienced bad love, if you can even call it love. But now she's seeing somebody, even though she's very defensive, she's starting to see this very pristine, I want this guy, someone that reminds her of the guy in a house in Nebraska. Then she starts fucking with him.
And finds herself falling in love with him.
Like that.
But knowing what happens later in the story, it loses its sheen a little bit. Like, no spoilies here, but it ends up feeling more like, instead of this beautiful, lovely haze that they are in, it was more of a mirage. It was more of something to...
That's a
put
CS
this veil
map.
over her eyes and make her feel safe and make those walls come down, even though she was hardened a little bit when she met him. I may not have found my love, but I doubt it, because you're my love.
So she fell in love with a horrible guy. The whole entire story kind of clicks for me now. I kind of understand what it's about. I just don't understand the kidnapping aspect. Is that the kidnapping aspect, but it was seen as like a nice thing in the beginning? Or is there another kidnapping that happens? And apparently she gets eaten. No Dahmer.
Now, in this track, they have reached the West Coast, and Isaiah has started to show his true colors, pimping her out in the back of strip clubs and feeding her copious amounts of drugs.
What the fuck?
The song is the fact that, you know, the verses are pretty slow, as Ethel Cain is wont to do, but then as you kind of slip into the chorus, it gets even slower, and it sort of mimics the feeling of slipping into a drug.
Couldn't relate.
And all under this veil of like sexuality and sexual freedom, but she definitely knows at this point that she is trapped. Now, lyrically, the verses are more like Ethel's perspective on what's going on. Her internal monologue, she says things like, "You want to get my clothes off and hurt me," and also says he's in love with my body, that's why he's fucking it up. And then the chorus is kind of this mantra that's fed to her by Isaiah, trying to convince her that what she's doing is cool and her own choice and she should want to do it. Maybe if it feels good, then it can't be bad. Something they all want that only you can have, like motivational speech. And then the verse goes right back into her kind of analyzing the situation, realizing how fucked up it is, saying, "You want to rip these clothes off and hurt me." And then the saddest part to me lyrically is when she says, "And if you hate me, please don't tell me, just let the lights bleed all over me." Once again, just wanting so badly to be loved despite everything that is happening and has happened to her at the hands of these men. In this case, she's trying to abide to Isaiah's definition of good. If it feels good, knows that this is not where she wants to be. Where she came from.
Okay, let's play this.
From at the beginning of the album, she's kind of trying to escape this oppressive gender norm of being a good, godly woman, a woman of the church, a woman that will serve her community, on the opposite end of the spectrum of being objectified and exploited.
That's literally exactly what I was about to say. She hella explaining this in a good ass way, and I f with people that do that. Oh, she makes music? I hella f with that. Is she kissing Ethel Cain? She kissing Ethel Cain? What the f? Yo, that's f***ing pimp, bro. Wait, they're actually like friends.
If you remove all the context, it's a very sexy song, and it is one of my favorite songs off the album, and that is just the confusing joy of being an Ethel Cain fan.
That's actually what I was kind of presuming. Like, when she explained a little bit of that, and she gave the, like, better explanation, I kind of got it better. Very hard. This song, I think, is the death part, because I said it in the video. I think this is where it sounds like she just got like pulled down to hell, like hands were and then like she was being pulled down to hell. Let's find out if I was right. This one was the most interesting sonically, I remember.
The title of the song is inspired by Dante's Inferno. Ptolemaea is the circle of hell where the traitorous reside. This track sonically is completely jarring and terrifying and feels hellish. All throughout, you get sounds of flies buzzing around like things are rotting, and also it starts with the voice of presumably Isaiah, which actually I'm pretty sure is Hayden and Hedonia's voice that she pitched down. You kind of feel like you're almost being stalked by a beast of prey. He's sort of working you into a corner a little bit. It's really terrifying and really ominous. Heard you, saw you, felt you, gave you, this repeated refrain that
I remember that.
The song really marks the first time that Ethel fully realizes that she's in a perilous situation. She cannot people please anymore. She's in fight or flight, and she needs to get the fuck out of there. The Ethel that was saying, I'll come with you if you're sure it's what you need, that's gone. She needs to be here for herself right now. She needs to get up and go. And when the climax of the song is her realizing she's really been backed into a corner. If it feels good, then it can't be bad.
You know what I said about, hold on, let me see if she says that because I remember there's a part in it where it's like there's like these, it's like a kick or something, but it's like very powerful, and it almost sounds like she's being like forced back into, like someone's walking at her and she has to walk backwards. This right here.
She says, what fear a man like you brings upon a woman like me? Please don't look at me. I can see it in your eyes. And this leads up to the legendary part of the song where it is, make it stop. I've had enough. Stop, stop, stop. You get the insane guttural scream. Never been done before. Legendary. Love it. Like, that is fucking immersion if I've ever seen it. The song ends with this long drawn out sort of blessing. And this could either be Isaiah's voice or the voice of her dark hallucinations. I think it's kind of both. Also, sonically here is my favorite thing ever, because not only are the words terrifying, but you get this pause between each line where then it kind of goes back into just loud, a wall of noise, and then it goes back to silence. And it reminds me of how it feels like to go through Lexapro withdrawal, if you've ever felt that. And there's so much in this final part.
I have not.
And in this case, Isaiah is a stand-in for all of the men that have hurt her over the course of her life. As she is seeing his face coming towards her, wanting to end her life, I feel like she's flashing on all the faces of the men. Willoughby.
Who the f*** is Willoughby?
There are lots of men who have wanted to use and abuse her, and this is just kind of like the climax of that. Promise to me, my man, who can only feel hatred and contempt towards you. Now, this can mean a lot of things. I feel like promise to me kind of signifies the expectation of marriage, in which case that is promised both by a father who gives a woman away, and also by God. Two figures who have not been very kind to Ethel in this story. And also in this case, Isaiah is taking her life in his hands and choosing to end it, in which case he's kind of promising her to himself, and he feels a mix of hatred and contempt and also some kind of twisted love for her. The rest is kind of speaking to the fact that there's been this darkness hanging over Ethel's head ever since she was a child, and now that darkness has caught up to her and is here to claim her. The song ends with "Run then, child, you can't hide from me forever," which then leads us right on into track 10, August Underground.
Okay, she's doing track 10 and 11.
Instrumental tracks in the album, and I think that really works in their favor. Just kind of portraying desperation and just like pure emotion of what Ethel is going through, namely her being killed and her soul ascending to heaven. And in August Underground, Isaiah reveals his true nature and Ethel faces the end. Fun fact, this track is named after the infamous snuff film. I'm not going to say that much more about this, but there are tons of disturbing media, videos, and Reddit threads that you can look at for more.
Oh, that's a shift. Yeah, I'm blurring the entire screen right now, but yeah, like what I'm looking at right now is just a bunch of gore porn.
It's really distorted and grainy, and it really mimics the feeling of having your senses kind of fuzz out around you as death kind of encloses you. And Ethel's vocals float over the top of this in sort of a pained lament. It's kind of an unrelenting dirge that makes you feel like Ethel's death was not quick and painless, but much on the contrary was slow and painful, and you can feel her going through the whole thing, pain physically and emotionally. Also, the snare drum really pierces through in this, making you feel like she's periodically being like hit or like stab, jab. This is what I mean when I say it's visceral. And then we hear one final beat that sounds like it may have been mixed with an actual gunshot sound, and the fuzz of the guitar kind of ebbs out, and that is the moment when Ethel's life ends.
Actually, that would make sense. God damn, this is so deep. Don't do the
Televangelism
millennial
and that song starts.
zoom again.
Now, televangelism as a term refers to the use of media, specifically like radio and television, to communicate Christianity. And here I think that's being used to mean sort of the transmission of Ethel's consciousness as she is dying and ascending to heaven from her brain to what we're hearing. A broadcast of her internal experience. Kind of, I mean, in a very dark sense, it is optimistic in that she is finally at peace.
That makes sense.
Piano at the end, it almost sounds like a record is warping or something. And apparently it's supposed to signify the kind of snapping of her synapses as she dies.
Oh yeah, with the like fluctuation and the like if she put auto-tune on it. Yeah, like that right there. Now, you know what that is? That's like when you take a fucking MIDI controller and you take the joystick and you just go...
Even though this is gorgeous, you're still hearing a person die. And this leads right into Bleached Flies, which I know I say this every time, but I think this might be my favorite song on the album.
It is
It's
one
really,
of my
really
favorite
hard to
songs on
choose
the
this
album.
song.
This song is absolutely stunning.
So Bleached Flies is a track that is coming from beyond the grave. Ethel is in heaven, and she's making peace with her death and reflecting on her life. This song is just...
Oh, damn! It just, okay, so I remember hearing the first line where it's like, the flies are by the window. That's so visual for like looking at every, like, oh, what the
with yearning and regret for what could have been. She talks
regret.
About meanwhile, their children are breathing in the poison of the pain, aka being exposed to toxic behaviors and morals within the community, destined to repeat the cycle. The song is really all about the duality of her feelings towards the way that she was raised. The first verse is just filled with yearning, what I wouldn't give to be in church this Sunday, and the second verse is all about sort of like the hurt that she was going through the entire time that she felt like she couldn't show anybody. Craves the comfort of being in church this Sunday, but also God loves you, but not enough to save you. The paradox of someone or something that has loved you and promised to take care of you since you were born, like God, like your father, like men,
the country.
It's like, okay, if God loves me, why doesn't he show me that? So obviously top tier
Damn.
If it's meant to be, then it will be refrain. This is such a mantra, and I love that this really feels like a gospel. Like I can picture a bunch of people in church pews singing this out. She forgives it all as it comes back to her. She lets go of the cycle of abuse. She refuses to perpetuate it. She's finding peace in her situation, as dark as it may be. And then the end is an absolute fucking gut punch. She says, I'm still praying for that house in Nebraska, a callback to that one true pure love that she knew as a teen that could have been her happy ending.
Damn! So she's now dead and she's regretful of the entire her life. But there's this is very interesting work. Now that I'm actually like knowing what it's about. I was so wrong on the story. Everyone was so right. I was so wrong. There's one line that stands out in this song, and it's the milk one about the milk carton. When my mother sees me on the side of a milk carton in Winn-Dixie's dairy aisle, she'll cry and wait up for me. Because I remember seeing recently, actually, missing stranger abduction, Ethel Cain, 20, female, 5'8", 132, brown, green. Ethel was last seen Sunday, January 13th at 3:15 a.m. being forced into a black... Oh, so she didn't go... Okay. Okay, so... in Thoroughfare, she gets Okay, so it is a kidnapping and then takes her there. But she likes that because she doesn't know real love. She's so used to this abusive, toxic love. Jesus Christ.
Now, in this track, Cannibalized by Isaiah, Ethel says her final goodbye to her mother from beyond the grave. Already we know from the previous tracks, you know, Televangelism and Bleached Flies, she has already ascended to a higher realm. She, in death, has gone to some kind of heaven. She's reflected on her life. In this track, we're kind of coming back down to what is actually happening to her post-death, namely what Isaiah does with her body. We just kind of are given this very visceral description of where her body is right now, which I think is something that whenever anyone is artistically talking about death tends to be glossed over a little bit. I mean, usually it's not as gory and disturbing as it is in this case, but freezer bride, you're sweet divine. He puts her in a freezer. He has claimed her as his bride forever. Side note, the term freezer bride fucking slaps.
For the bus?
We get a lot of nods to what he's actually doing to her right now, cannibalism. How funny I never considered myself tough is such a clever double meaning line.
You devour like smoked bovine hide. He literally made Ethel Cain beef jerky? Oh my god, this is crazy. Am I no good? I tried to be good. That's so... What the f... Am I good in the sense of did I live a good life and do I taste good? What the f... Dude, this motherfucker's crazy!
What he pleases and kind of imagining in his head that she's liking it and that it's this romantic sexual situation. Like literally what she's telling us right now is his projected fantasy. She says, we'll make love in your attic all night, euphoric in some strange delight. I'm happy you're here because you told me I should be. Sad and disturbing.
I missed this. What?
In the whole cannibalism thing, you know, what's happening to her body with Isaiah, it's because she wants to be someone's, and if this is the only way that she can be someone's at this point, she will take it.
Oh
The
my
last part of the
god,
song
bro.
plays her addressing her mother, probably the most beloved member of her family. Imagining her being distraught at the sight of Ethel's photo on a milk carton and wanting to reassure her that she's in a better place now. Also getting a bit of closure, saying, I never blamed you for loving me the way that you did. No matter how harsh her religious upbringing was, they were all, you know, doing the best that they could with the tools that they had. The ending lines are just absolutely haunting. She says, Mama, just know that I love you and I'll see you when you get here. Which is just a genius way to end the album, because as us daughters of Cain know, Hayden and Hedonia, the mastermind behind Ethel Cain, is planning on putting out a few more albums. I don't know when, but they're going to follow number one, the story of Ethel's mother, and then the story of Ethel's grandmother. So kind of setting up this matriarch family tree. Thank you so fun doing these little analyses. I love this album to death. And
thank you to Nina Fitzgerald. I'll put this video in the description below. Is Perverts an extension of Preacher's Daughter? And if so, this is some crazy lore. And do these EPs have anything to do with the other piece of lore? Lil Aaron? What the f? Isn't that the guy that made the song Drugs? Yeah. God damn. Well, I was so off on the story. Thank you guys for f***ing telling me that I was off on the story. This is some crazy ass story. Dude, I'm like speechless. That was some f***ing interesting, crazy ass work. Dude, bus? Oh my goodness. Oh, what the f? By the way, I wasn't actually writing anything down. This is what I wrote down, literally. I just kept drawing X's and I wrote what the f, and then I wrote fart. Okay, I'm actually very intrigued to see if Perverts is a continuation of Project, and I'm sure we will find out soon. Alright, I'm gonna head out. I hope you guys enjoy your evening. Remember, Perverts comes out tonight. I'm a new gen fan of Ethel Cain, but I'm very interested in her work, and I definitely do want to learn more about it. Peace, y'all!